My name's Jack Holloway. Yeah, that Jack. Or at least I used to be. Now I'm just some 65-year-old guy sitting alone in a busted garage, talking to a camera like it's my last friend on earth. You see this place? This garage ain't just concrete and rust. It's a damn graveyard. Every corner's got a memory buried in it. I'm sitting in an old metal chair that squeaks every time I breathe wrong. Around me, trophies covered in dust so thick you could write apologies in it. Medals hanging crooked on the wall like they gave up waiting for me to come back. Photos too, wins, podiums, flashes of a life that moved way faster than my heart does now. And back there, yeah, that wrecked sports car from the 80s. I never fixed it, never could. People ask why. Truth is, some things aren't meant to be repaired. Back in the day, I lived in Daytona Beach, Florida. If you know racing, you know Daytona ain't just a city, it's a religion. Engines screaming all night, rubber burned into the asphalt, dreams flying past at 200 miles an hour. I was young, wild, bulletproof in my own head. Man, I loved speed more than sleep, more than money, hell, more than people. I started racing with nothing but a beat-up car and a bad attitude, but I had hands, steady ones. I could feel the road like it was part of me. While other guys drove with fear, I drove with hunger, and I won, a lot, local races first, then bigger circuits, then crowds chanting my name like I was some kind of rock star. Sponsors started noticing, girls too. Not gonna lie, I soaked it all in like I deserved it. I thought I was untouchable. That's what makes the fall hurt worse. The race that changed everything was called the Iron Run, biggest race of the year back then. One winner, no excuses. You win, you're immortal. You lose, you're just another name people forget. I brought my favorite car to that race. A classic 80s beast, raw power, loud as hell, temperamental but loyal. That car had carried me through wins I had no business winning. I was sure this was mine. Lights went green, and for 90 minutes straight it was pure chaos, engines screaming, tires crying, sweat pouring down my back. I drove like a man chasing destiny. When I crossed the finish line, I already had my victory speech in my head. Then I looked up, second place. I swear the world went quiet, crowd went nuts, but not for me. I felt my chest burn, pride shattered, ego bleeding out right there on the track. I jumped out of my car, storming toward the winner, ready to say something real stupid. Then I saw her. Her name was Evelyn Eve Carter, helmet off. Short dark hair stuck to her forehead. Eyes calm like she'd just finished grocery shopping, not the hardest race of the year. She was my age, fit, strong, and yeah, she was beautiful, but not in some soft way, more like dangerous. I hated that I lost. I hated that she knew it bothered me, and I hated that she didn't look surprised at all. She looked right at me and said, "Relax, hotshot. You drive fast, but you don't drive smart." That cut deep. I didn't even know what to say, and before I could fire back, she smiled, real slow, and said something that rewired my whole damn future. "Pick a date," she said. "We race again, just you and me." I laughed, thought she was joking. She wasn't. "If you win," she continued, "I'll marry you." I stared at her like she lost her mind. "And if you win?" I asked. She shrugged. "Then you learn how to lose." Deal was made. 2 months. I choose the date. She chooses the location on race day. Those 2 months, I trained like a psycho. Sunrise to midnight, perfect tracks, perfect turns. I wanted revenge, not love. Race day came. I named the date. She named the place. Mountains, valleys, no guardrails, one screw up and you're done. That's when I realized I wasn't racing a girl. I was racing someone who understood something I didn't yet, and that race. Yeah, that race broke me. But it also introduced me to the woman who would become my wife, the mother of my kids, and the reason I'm sitting here today, telling you this story with regret in my bones. The old Jack Holloway died on that mountain, and trust me, the rest of this story only gets heavier from here. Alright, so where was I? Yeah, the mountain. Man, that road still shows up in my nightmares. Race day came cold as hell. Sky was gray, wind cutting through my jacket, and that mountain road looked like it wanted blood. No clean asphalt, no safety rails, just sharp turns, steep drops, and rocks waiting to chew you up if you slipped even a little. Eve stood there calm as ever, leaning against her car like this was just another Sunday drive. No trash talk, no nerves, just that quiet confidence that gets under your skin worse than any insult. I remember thinking, nah, I got this. I'm Jack Holloway, yeah, famous last thoughts. The signal dropped, engines screamed. And within the first 5 minutes, I knew I was in trouble. This wasn't my world. On clean tracks, I was a king. I knew every curve, every breaking point. But this road didn't care who I was. Dirt kicked up, tires slipped, and every turn felt like it was daring me to screw up. Eve drove like she'd been born on that mountain. Smooth, fearless. She didn't fight the road, she danced with it. Me, I was wrestling it. She pulled ahead, then further, then gone. I pushed harder, too hard. That's when my back tires slid near a cliff edge, rocks flying down into nothing. My heart slammed into my throat. For the first time in my life, I lifted my foot off the gas. Fear won. When I finally crossed the finish line, she was already there, engine off, helmet in her hand, breathing easy. I lost, not by seconds. By miles, I sat in my car long after it stopped moving, hands shaking. Pride wrecked worse than any crash I'd ever seen. Eve walked over. I expected trash talk, didn't get it. She crouched down so we were eye to eye and said, "You're fast, Jack, but speed ain't everything." That's when it hit me. All those wins, all that ego, I never actually respected racing. I respected winning, big difference. I stepped out of the car and did something I'd never done before. I apologized. I was wrong, I told her. About you, about myself, about everything. She studied me for a second, then smiled, not the teasing one, a real one. "Good," she said, "means you're finally ready to learn." That was the start of us, not fireworks, not some movie crap, work. We didn't jump into romance right away. We trained together. She showed me stuff no one ever had, how to read terrain, how to feel weight transfer, how to trust instinct without letting ego drive. Slowly, my driving changed. And somewhere between late-night tuning sessions and early morning test runs, I fell for her. Hard. Eve wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy. She was solid, grounded, strong in ways I didn't understand yet. A year later, we got married. Small ceremony, just us, a couple friends, and grease still under our nails. Life was good. We raced together, not against each other, but as a team. I drove. She read maps, calculated risks, kept my head straight when adrenaline tried to take over. Then came the double iron, 2 racers per car, 1 driver, 1 navigator. Most teams were flashy, 2 egos stuffed into 1 cockpit. We weren't, we were synced. 90 kilometers of hell, heat, pressure, mistakes everywhere, and we won. That win put our names on the map as a unit, not Jack Holloway the hotshot, but Jack and Eve Holloway. After that, life moved fast. We had kids, 3 of them. Liam, the oldest, quiet, observant, always watching. Maya, middle child, sharp mouth, sharper mind, and Noah, the baby, heart bigger than his body. Eve loved them fiercely, and that's when things started changing. She looked at our life, constant risk, constant danger, and made a call. "No more racing," she said one night, "not like this." I laughed at first, thought she was kidding. She wasn't. She wanted stability, safety, a future where our kids didn't grow up wondering if today was the day Dad didn't come home. I agreed, at least I thought I did. Truth is, I didn't know how to live without racing. I tried regular jobs, shops, driving gigs, management roles, couldn't last more than 6 months anywhere. I was restless, angry, stubborn. Racing was the only thing I ever knew how to be good at. Years passed, kids grew, bills stacked up, and slowly, quietly, we started slipping. By the time our kids were grown, we were drowning, debt everywhere, no savings, no safety net. And that's when I heard about it, the mega run, one last race. Winner takes $10 million. I saw salvation. Eve saw a grave. That night we argued harder than we ever had. She said no. I pushed. The kids heard everything. And in the end, she agreed, not because she believed in the race, but because she believed in me. And that decision is why I'm sitting alone in this garage today. So yeah, that night changed everything. The garage was quiet after the argument, too quiet, the kind of silence that screams louder than words. Eve sat at the kitchen table, hands folded, staring at nothing. I stood there like an idiot, convinced I was right just because I was desperate. I kept telling myself, this is it. One last race, $10 million, we fix everything. Funny how your brain sells you lies when you're scared. Eve finally spoke. "If we do this," she said, voice steady but tired, "we do it together, 1 car, 1 team, no shortcuts." I nodded fast, too fast, like agreeing was the same as understanding. The kids didn't say much. Liam avoided my eyes. Maya looked pissed. Noah just looked scared. That should have been my warning. We pulled the old race car out of storage the next morning. 20 years of dust, rust creeping in like time itself trying to erase us. The body still looked mean, but underneath, she was old, way older than the tech everyone was running now. Eve ran her hand along the hood. "She carried us once," she said. "Let's hope she remembers how." The next few months were brutal. We trained like we were 20 again, but our bodies disagreed. My reflexes weren't what they used to be. Eve's knees complained every morning. Still, she never quit, never complained. We upgraded what we could, new tires, reinforced frame, an advanced speed nozzle system that could give short bursts of insane acceleration. Dangerous tech, especially on an older car. I loved it. Eve didn't. "This thing's a beast," she warned. "Too much power for this chassis." "We'll manage," I said. "That's my specialty, we'll manage." Race day arrived. The mega run wasn't a clean track. 90 kilometers of mixed terrain, highways, industrial zones, desert stretches, crowds everywhere, drones overhead, engines growling like predators, $10 million sitting at the finish line. I felt alive again. Eve strapped in beside me, tablet mounted, maps glowing. She looked calm, but I knew her well enough to hear the worry in her breathing. The horn blasted. We launched. First 10 kilometers smooth. Car felt good, strong, familiar. By 30, we were already passing teams. Eve called turns clean, steady, like old times. By 60 kilometers, we were top 5. At 80, we flipped the speed nozzle for the first time. The car surged forward like it had been waiting years for that moment. We passed everyone. Crowd went insane. Last 10 kilometers. Other teams hit their boosters, flying past us one by one. I felt panic rise. "They're pulling ahead," I shouted. Eve hesitated. "Jack, the nozzle's already stressed. I know this car," I snapped. "Trust me." I hit the nozzle again, full blast. For one perfect second, we were unstoppable. We crossed into first place, and then the steering went light, too light. The car started shaking, speed screaming past what the frame could handle. I tried correcting, overcorrected, tires lost grip. "Jack," Eve yelled, everything spun. Metal screamed, glass exploded, the world flipped upside down. Silence. I came to with blood in my mouth and smoke in the air. My head rang like church bells. "Eve," I croaked. She didn't answer. Her head had slammed into the side frame. Blood trickled down her temple. She was breathing, but barely. Sirens wailed. Ambulance lights blurred past. I held her hand the whole ride, begging, promising, apologizing like words could rewind time. She squeezed my fingers once. That was it. She died before we reached the hospital. And then, because life's got a sick sense of humor, my phone buzzed. "Congratulations, you are the winner. $10 million awarded." I screamed, not cried, screamed. The kids didn't forgive me. Not then, maybe not ever. They left, one by one, built lives without me. Without the money too. They didn't want a single dollar stained with their mother's blood. I gave it all away, every cent. To families who needed it more than I ever did. Because without Eve, $10 million meant nothing. Now I sit here, same garage, same chair, same broken car, telling you this because maybe, just maybe, someone out there will learn from my mistake. Some races aren't meant to be won. People think the worst part is the crash. Nah, the worst part comes after, when the noise dies, the crowds disappear, and you're left alone with your choices. After Eve died, time didn't stop like in the movies. It kept moving, relentless, cruel. Bills still showed up. The sun still came up. The world didn't care that my heart had shattered into pieces too small to pick up. The hospital hallway smelled like disinfectant and bad news. A doctor talked to me, lips moving, words floating past my ears like static. All I heard was one sentence on repeat: "We did everything we could." I signed papers with a hand that didn't feel like mine. Then came the kids. Liam was first. He didn't yell, didn't cry. He just stared at me like I was a stranger. Like the man who raised him had vanished and someone else was wearing his face. Maya broke. She screamed at me, called me selfish, called me blind, called me every truth I didn't want to hear but deserved anyway. Noah didn't say a word. He hugged me once, quick, awkward, and then stepped back like he was afraid I'd break him too. The funeral was small. Eve would have liked that. No engines, no trophies, no racing stories. Just quiet people, quiet tears, and a woman who deserved a safer ending than I gave her. After that, my family started drifting away. Not all at once, slowly, like planets losing orbit. Liam moved for work. Said he needed space. Maya stopped answering calls. Noah checked in sometimes, but it felt like obligation, not love. I don't blame them. I stayed in the garage. This place became my bunker, my prison, my confession booth. The wrecked car sat right where they towed it in. Insurance wanted to scrap it. I said no. I needed it there. Needed to see it every day. Needed the reminder. Some mornings I'd sit in the driver's seat and just stare forward, hands on the wheel, imagining Eve beside me, reading maps, correcting my breathing, keeping my ego in check. But the seat was empty, always empty. People asked about the money, $10 million. You'd think that kind of cash would change everything. It didn't. I didn't touch it. Couldn't. Every dollar felt soaked in her blood, so I gave it away. Quietly, no cameras, no headlines, hospitals, schools, families who'd lost someone to accidents, to bad luck, to life being unfair. Money's loud when you chase it. It's silent when you let it go. Years passed. The world forgot Jack Holloway. New racers, faster cars, smarter tech, kids who never heard my name unless they dug deep enough online. I aged, hair went gray, back started hurting, reflexes slowed, the mirror stopped lying to me. The garage stayed the same, dust thickened on the trophies, metals rusted at the edges. Photos faded, especially the one with Eve, standing beside me after our first win together, eyes bright like the future was a sure thing. Sometimes I talk to her. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but when you lose the one person who knew every version of you, the good, the bad, the stupid, you keep the conversation going however you can. I should have listened, I tell the photo. I thought speed could fix everything. I replay that last race in my head more times than I can count. If I hadn't hit the nozzle again, if I'd trusted her call, if I'd chosen family over pride, but regret's a bad driver. It never lets you move forward. One night Noah showed up unannounced. He looked older, stronger, tired in a way only adulthood makes you. We didn't talk much. Sat in the garage, two grown men surrounded by ghosts. Finally he said, "Mom believed in you, even when you didn't deserve it." That hurt more than anger ever could. Before he left, he asked one thing. Why keep all this? He gestured around. Why not sell it? Move on. I didn't have an answer then. I do now, because this garage is my truth. It's where I learned that winning doesn't mean being right, that talent without humility is just another kind of crash. And that love, real love, isn't about crossing the finish line first. It's about stopping when someone you love says enough. I failed that test. In this story, I'm not telling it for sympathy. I'm telling it because somewhere out there, someone's about to make the same mistake I did, thinking one last race will fix a lifetime of problems. It won't. In the next part, I'll tell you about the last promise I ever made to Eve, and why I'm finally ready to let this garage breathe again. I never kept promises the way I should have, not when it mattered, but there's one I carried my whole life, and it's what haunts me most. It was the day I first met Eve, not the day we raced, not the day we married, not even the day we won together. The day she looked at me, eyes calm, fearless, and said, "Pick a date, win me or learn to lose." That was the first promise I ever made myself. I would never let her down. I failed, and that failure didn't end the day she died. Nope. It stretched on for decades. After the mega run crash, I stopped racing, stopped chasing money, stopped pretending the past could be erased. I stayed in this garage. Every morning I'd wake up, see the trophies, the medals, the car, and remember her. It was like a museum dedicated to a life I couldn't live again. But here's the thing about time. It doesn't heal. It just buries the pain under routines, under dust, under silence. And sometimes it throws reminders at you just to make sure you remember. One of those reminders came 20 years after the crash. My kids, grown now, scattered across the country, came back into my life briefly, not for me. Not for the story, not even for forgiveness, but because life has a way of dragging family back to the ruins no matter how far you run. Liam was married, had a kid or two. Maya ran a tech startup. Noah, always the quiet one, had chosen a safer path. They were all successful in their own ways. And here I was, 65, broke in everything that mattered, sitting in a garage with a broken car and a broken heart. One evening, Liam poked his head into the garage. He didn't knock, didn't say hi, just stood there, hands in his pockets, staring at me like I was an exhibit. "You okay, Dad?" I laughed bitterly. "Define okay. You know what I mean." "You've been here all these years." I shrugged. "This place keeps me honest." He shook his head. "You never told us why you didn't take the money. 10 million, Dad, that's a lifetime. Could have fixed everything." I looked away, hands shaking. "Couldn't, not without her." Liam's jaw tightened. "We get it, but you didn't have to punish yourself forever." I didn't answer, couldn't. How do you explain grief that's bigger than any check, bigger than any win? How do you explain that the person you loved most in the world was ripped away in a moment, and the money that could have saved your family's life suddenly means nothing because she isn't here to share it? Later that night, I wandered the garage, talking to Eve like I always did. "You should have lived, Jack," I whispered. "We could have had more, I don't know, everything." I ran my hands over the steering wheel of that old car. The scratches, the dents, the faded paint, it all told the story of a life spent chasing speed, chasing victory, chasing something I thought I could control. But you can't control a mountain, you can't control fate. And you sure as hell can't control love. Sometimes I imagine her beside me. I hear her voice, "You gotta let go, Jack, you can't keep punishing yourself." And I know she's right, but letting go doesn't mean forgetting. Letting go doesn't mean the guilt disappears. It just means you carry it differently. That's why I started giving the money away. Quietly, anonymously, to people who needed it more than I ever did. Hospitals, schools, families who lost everything, kids who had no hope. I wanted that money to do good, even if I couldn't. It's strange, you know, you spend decades racing, chasing, winning, and the thing that matters most isn't speed, it isn't the trophy. It's the people you leave behind. I'd stare at the car sometimes and think, if this could talk, if it could tell her story, maybe she'd forgive me. And then I started to rebuild parts of my life, not fully, not enough to be whole. But enough to breathe again, enough to remember that grief, love, and regret can coexist. I never raced again after the mega run, not seriously, not even for fun. Eve had made sure of that. She had always said, "Jack, some risks aren't worth taking." Funny thing, she was right. Every single time, but I do think about it sometimes, about that mountain, about the speed nozzle, about the moment we hit first place and lost everything. That's a memory I can't erase, and I won't try, because it reminds me of her. And as much as it kills me to admit it, I'd rather carry that pain than forget her at all. I'm old now, my hair's gray, my hands are stiff, my body aches from all the years of racing and regret. But my mind still remembers the sound of engines, the smell of burnt rubber, the way her eyes looked when she knew I was losing, not because I wasn't fast, but because I didn't respect the road or her. The garage still holds me, holds my memories, holds my story, and maybe someday it'll hold someone else who needs to learn from my mistakes. I tell you all this not to make you pity me, not to make you feel sorry, but because someone's gonna watch this and think, maybe I can beat the odds, maybe I can fix my mistakes before it's too late, and that's the only reason I'm still here, talking, breathing, surviving, the next part. That's where I get back into the car, not to race the world, not to chase glory, but to face it, to face what I left behind, what I destroyed, and what I can't take back. It took me 20 years to touch that steering wheel again. 20 years to sit in the driver's seat and feel the leather under my fingers, the wheel vibrating like it remembered me. The old Jack Holloway, the one who lived for speed, for victory, for the roar of engines, had been buried under grief, guilt, and the long silence of a life paused. But the mega run was coming again. They called it the Iron Reclaim this time. Same stakes, $10 million, but this wasn't about the money for me anymore. Money, empty, worthless. Without Eve, it was just paper. No, this was about proving to myself that I could still do something right, that I could respect the road, respect the machine, and most importantly, respect her memory. I dragged the car out of storage. The old 80s sports beast, battered and scarred, sitting like a war veteran waiting for one last mission. Dust-coated trophies stared at me from the walls. The metals seemed to sag under the weight of 2 decades. The framed photo of Eve still smiling, still perfect. I tapped the wheel gently. Let's do this, girl, for her. The garage smelled of old oil, grease, and memories. I remembered how Eve had taught me to tune the car, how she had taught me to anticipate every curve and bend, every weight shift in the engine. She had been the brains, I had been the hands, together unstoppable. Now it was just me and that memory. Training was brutal. My body didn't forgive me the years I'd wasted. Reflexes dulled, back screaming at every jolt, hands trembling after a lap or two. But I pushed. Every morning sunrise, every night under the dim garage light, tires screeched, engines roared, dust flew. And slowly, I felt like myself again. I upgraded the car cautiously. The speed nozzle system, the same one that had killed her that day, was calibrated perfectly this time. No overdrive, no crazy stunts. Just controlled bursts of speed when necessary. Every bolt tightened, every tire pressure checked. Every test run reminded me, Eve would want this car respected, not abused. The kids found out eventually. Liam, Maya, and Noah. They weren't thrilled. You're insane, Liam said the first day he saw me back in the garage. 20 years of therapy, Dad. You start this nonsense and what? You're gonna end up dead. Not dead, Liam, I said, wrench in hand. Just fixing what I can. Maya shook her head, arms crossed. You mean paying for that one stupid mistake your entire life? Nope, I said, not paying, learning. Noah just watched quietly, as he always did. He didn't say anything, but I could see it in his eyes. Fear, yes, but maybe a little pride too. 2 months of preparation, sweat, and sleepless nights. Finally, the car felt alive again. The way it used to feel when Eve sat beside me, maps in hand, calculating every move. The engine purred under my touch, not like a beast ready to rip you apart, but like a loyal friend, reminding me of who I was and who I had lost. Then came the day of the race, the Iron Reclaim. Same track length, 90 kilometers, but this time the terrain was all mine to conquer. No surprises, no mountains, no hidden valleys. I had control, but I also had nerves gnawing at me like rats. I stepped into the car, gloves tight, helmet on, heart hammering, sweat on my brow, hands on the wheel. I whispered to the empty passenger seat, "This one's for you, Eve." Engines roared, lights flashed, crowd noise faded into background static. It was just me, the car, and decades of regret pressing against my chest like a lead weight. The first 10 kilometers were smooth. I remembered the way she used to call out turns, how she always knew when to push and when to ease off. I imagined her voice in my ear, guiding me. Every lap, every curve, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in 20 years. By 30 kilometers, I was moving up the ranks, fast, efficient, calculated, no recklessness, no ego, just skill honed by memory, pain, and respect. By 60 kilometers, I felt the old adrenaline surge, but different, not the brash, young, reckless Jack. This Jack, older, wiser, still fast, but tempered with the lessons of loss, knew his limits. The speed nozzle wasn't abused. Timing perfect, every gear shift, every brake, every turn controlled. By 80 kilometers, I passed several top racers. The crowd cheered, engines roared in unison. I felt the thrill, yes, but this time it wasn't about victory. It was about redemption, about honoring Eve and proving to myself that mistakes could be learned from, not just endured. 10 kilometers to go, heart in my throat, hands gripping the wheel, not panic, precision. I crossed the finish line. First place, no crashes, no deaths, no horror, just me alive in that old car purring like a satisfied cat. For the first time in 20 years, I felt whole. The crowd erupted, cameras flashing, but I didn't look. I just sat there, helmet off, staring at the empty seat beside me. "You'd be proud, Eve," I whispered. I didn't ruin it this time. And somehow in that moment I felt her there. Not gone, not lost, but watching, smiling, approving. That's what made all those years in the garage worth it. The isolation, the regret, the endless nights of replaying that crash, that race, that day we lost everything. I was back, in the driver's seat. And for the first time I was racing, not for glory, not for money, not for pride, but for the one thing that had always mattered, her memory and the lessons she left behind. The next part. That's when I start thinking about what it really means to live after loss, and how I started rebuilding, not just the car, but my life. After that race, the iron reclaimed, I felt like I'd finally exhaled for the first time in 20 years. But winning wasn't the magic fix I thought it would be. It wasn't like I could suddenly undo the past, or bring Eve back, or patch up all the mistakes I'd made with my kids. No, what it did was give me a small, trembling chance to start rebuilding, and this time I knew it wasn't just about cars. I started with the obvious, the garage. For decades it had been a tomb. Dust everywhere, trophies untouched, the old car parked like a monument to grief. I cleared it out piece by piece. Every day, an hour or two, just cleaning, organizing, touching the car, the tools, the metals. I found parts of myself in that process I hadn't seen in years, the meticulous, careful Jack who could plan, fix, and create, not the reckless one who treated speed like life insurance. Next, I reached out to the kids, slowly. Carefully, I wasn't expecting hugs or apologies, I just wanted contact. Liam was the first to answer a text. "You really gonna try to talk?" he said, tone guarded. "Yeah," I said, "if you'll let me." It wasn't easy. Liam, Maya, Noah, all of them had built lives without me. They were independent, maybe even resentful. But little by little, we started to communicate. Calls, texts, even visits. I told them stories, not just the racing ones, but the lessons behind them. Mistakes, consequences, pride, love, loss. They listened. Sometimes, most of the time they judged, but that was okay. Meanwhile, the car became my therapy. I spent hours tuning it, not for speed, but for balance, adjusting brakes, suspensions, gears. Every nut, every bolt, every calibration reminded me that control is earned, not demanded. Eve would have laughed seeing me fuss over it like a monk tending candles. She always said, "Jack, it's not about making it perfect, it's about respecting what you have." I also started helping the local racing academy. Young racers with dreams bigger than their wallets, reckless like I used to be. I taught them what Eve had taught me. Respect the machine, respect the road, respect your partner if you have one. I didn't just teach speed. I taught patience, timing, and humility, the things I learned too late. And then there was the money, 10 million. I had given it all away anonymously. Hospitals, schools, families who'd lost loved ones. I never wanted recognition. Every time I thought about keeping it, I imagined Eve's disappointed glare. She had always hated greed, and so giving it away felt like honoring her. After years of grief, regret, and rebuilding, I thought I was done with racing. I thought the car in my garage was just a relic, a reminder of mistakes I could never undo. But life has a way of testing you, even when you swear you're finished. The call came on a humid Thursday morning. I was cleaning wrenches, listening to the hum of the old fluorescent lights above. The mega-run organization, now bigger, more ruthless, with drones and cash prizes that could bankrupt small towns, was sending out invitations. They'd called it the Final Reckoning, same stakes, $10 million, but this time they were advertising it as a legacy race, a nod to legends of the past, and they wanted me. At first I laughed. "Yeah, right," I muttered to myself. "Jack Holloway, old man, survivor of a 20-year crash, they want me to race." But then I thought of Eve, and my kids, and the garage, polished and alive after all these years. I realized something. Racing wasn't just about speed. It had been therapy, it had been life, and I missed it. I called Liam first. "Look," I said, trying to sound casual, "they want me in the Final Reckoning. I think I'm gonna do it." "Dad," he said, sharp. "After everything, you still chase that danger." "It's different now," I said. "I'm not chasing ego, not money, not glory. I'm chasing control, discipline, redemption." He didn't answer right away. I could almost hear the skepticism, the worry. Finally, he muttered, "Just be careful, please." Maya wasn't thrilled either. "You're insane," she said, rolling her eyes. "You've lived your life like a movie crash scene." "Why the hell start again?" "Because I have to," I said, and it was true. Next came preparation. I spent months working on the car like it was alive, because it was. Every bolt, every gear, every suspension joint had to be perfect. The engine roared again under my hands, tuned carefully to survive the stresses of modern racing. I upgraded the speed nozzle system carefully. This time, no risk of disaster, no overdrive that could kill. Eve's voice haunted me. "Respect the machine, Jack, respect the road." I trained, early mornings, late nights, sweat dripping, hands raw from gripping the wheel. My body wasn't 20 anymore, reflexes slower, back aches, eyes not as sharp. But my mind was honed by decades of racing, grief, and rebuilding. I wasn't reckless, I was calculated, I was precise. The kids started visiting more, curious. Liam came by to see me test the car. Maya wanted to measure my lap times. Noah just quietly observed, shaking his head, muttering, "You never stop, do you?" But for the first time, I felt like I wasn't racing alone. I wasn't trying to impress Eve or win money. I was racing to prove that I could still respect what I loved, and maybe to show the kids that mistakes don't have to define you forever. You can rebuild, you can try again, you can learn. The week before the race, I drove the car down old familiar streets, tracks I used to know like the back of my hand. The tires screamed against asphalt, the engine purred under pressure, and for the first time in decades, I felt alive in the driver's seat without fear, without guilt. I thought about Eve constantly, how she would have read the map, guided me, corrected me. I imagined her there, whispering instructions, smiling, telling me to breathe. And somehow it made me faster, not reckless, not wild, just precise. Calculated, alive. By race day, the garage smelled of oil, wax, and nervous anticipation. I double-checked everything, touched the car like it was a living thing. I put on the helmet, gloves, and stepped into the seat. My hands gripped the wheel, heartbeat steady. "This one's for you, Eve," I whispered, voice low. "I won't crash this time, I'll make you proud." The starting horn blasted, engines roared, crowd went insane. Drones buzzed overhead, recording every move, every flick of the tires, every twitch of the car. First 10 kilometers, smooth. I stayed calm, let the car settle, let the road dictate the rhythm. No reckless speed, no chasing others. Just control. By 30 kilometers, I passed a few younger racers, their confidence overestimating their skill. By 50, I was in the top 3. My body ached, but my mind was sharper than it had been in years. By 70, the speed nozzle was ready. I flicked it on. Controlled burst, careful timing, and the car surged ahead, smooth, precise, not chaotic. The crowd went wild, but I ignored it. Every lap, every turn, every gear shift reminded me of the lessons Eve had taught me. Patience, respect, awareness. 80 kilometers in, I realized something. This wasn't about winning anymore, not really. It was about living the race right. About being alive, about remembering, about rebuilding. I crossed the finish line first. No crashes, no disaster. The car hummed beneath me, alive, loyal. I took off my helmet and exhaled, finally letting the tension go. For the first time in decades, I smiled without guilt. I didn't need cheers, money, or fame. I needed this, proof that I could still honor her memory, respect the machine, and maybe, finally make peace with myself. Next, I'll tell you about what came after the race. The unexpected gifts, the new connections, and the real reason why speed isn't just about the track, it's about life itself. But the biggest rebuild wasn't the garage, the car, or even the relationships with my kids. It was me. I started to live a little, slowly. I took walks, went fishing, visited old tracks just to watch, not to race. I laughed more sometimes at my own stupidity. I stopped punishing myself for surviving. Surviving, I realized, was its own kind of victory. I also started writing, not racing journals, not memoirs, just letters. Letters to Eve, letters to the kids, letters to myself. I never sent most of them. Some I burned, but writing reminded me that words could heal in ways speed never could. That I could leave something behind that mattered more than a trophy or a $10 million prize. I even started a small team just for fun, helping local mechanics, tuning cars, giving young drivers guidance. I didn't race anymore. I just facilitated, watched, guided, laughed when things went wrong, cheered when they went right. It wasn't the thrill of the wheel, but it was meaningful. And for the first time in decades, I didn't feel empty at the end of the day. By the time 2 years passed after the iron reclaim, the garage wasn't a tomb anymore. The trophies were polished, the car tuned, the walls cleared of decades of dust. The photo of Eve remained, the one from our first big win, but now it hung proudly, a reminder not of loss, but of love, lessons, and perseverance. I also realized that rebuilding isn't linear. Some days are heavy. Some days I still imagine her sitting beside me, correcting me, guiding me. Some nights, grief hits me like a car crash all over again. But I've learned to take those days, lean into them, and keep moving forward. Just like racing, life doesn't pause for grief, but you can steer through it if you keep your hands on the wheel. The kids started visiting more. Liam brought his son, who wanted to sit in the old car. Maya asked questions about the races I'd done, not to judge, but to understand. Noah, quiet as ever, helped me organize tools, sitting beside me in the garage, like a small reminder that family isn't just blood, it's presence. I still talk to Eve every day, not out loud to anyone but myself, but in my heart. I'm trying, I tell her. I'm doing better. And sometimes, when the wind whistles just right through the garage, I swear I hear her laugh. This is the part of my story I wish I could have told sooner. That even after loss, after mistakes, after grief and guilt, you can rebuild. Not the same way, not perfectly, but meaningfully. Slowly, piece by piece, day by day. And that's what the next chapter is about, because after rebuilding comes the hardest part. Letting the world in again, letting the speed back into life without letting it destroy you. Crossing that finish line, I expected relief. I expected a little rush of triumph. I didn't expect this. See, winning the final reckoning wasn't just about the $10 million. They gave me that, sure, but the real reward was something I hadn't felt in decades: connection. The crowd went nuts, cameras flashing, drones hovering overhead, voices screaming my name, but I wasn't listening. My mind was on the empty seat beside me. I could almost hear Eve's voice saying, "Well done, Jack, that was enough." That was more than enough. I stepped out of the car, hands shaking, legs weak. Liam, Maya, and Noah were there, front row, watching. They hadn't expected to see me like this, calm, alive, smiling without the weight of grief crushing me. "You did it," Liam said, voice low. "You actually did it." I laughed softly. "We did it," I corrected. "Eve would have liked that." Maya rolled her eyes but smiled. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm proud of you, Dad." Noah just nodded. Quiet, strong, steady, that was his way. We collected the prize money, the reporters buzzing around, questions flying. I didn't answer most of them. I just held the check for $10 million in my hands and let it sit there, heavy. But not in the same way it had been before. This time it was a tool, not a punishment. The kids were hesitant at first. "You're really gonna do this with the money?" Liam asked. "Yes," I said, "but not for me, not for ego. Not for pride, for people who actually need it, and for you." Over the next few months, I turned the prize into something meaningful. Schools got new science labs, hospitals got emergency equipment, families in need got homes, cars, support for education. The money didn't change my life, it changed lives around me, and for the first time it felt right. Even the racing community reached out. Young drivers I'd coached years ago came by to thank me. Teams I'd competed against offered respect I hadn't felt since my youth, and it hit me. Legacy isn't measured in trophies or wins. It's measured in impact, in memories left behind, in lives touched. But the most surprising part, the personal healing. For the first time in decades, I could sit in my garage and not feel crushed by loss. The car was polished, tuned, perfect. Trophies gleamed, medals hung straight, and the photo of Eve smiling, proud, alive in memory. I talked to her like I always had, but now without the suffocating guilt. "I hope I made you proud," I whispered one night, leaning on the hood. I finally got it right. I started sharing my story publicly, too. Not for fame, not for pity, but to remind others, mistakes don't define you. Loss doesn't have to destroy you. Pride, ego, greed, they'll get you killed faster than a turn on a mountain road. Young racers came to me hungry for guidance. I taught them the same lessons Eve taught me. Respect the machine, respect the road, respect yourself, and respect the people you love. I became a mentor, a coach, a guide. And every time a kid thanked me for steering them away from disaster, I felt Eve's presence, nodding, approving. Even the kids started visiting more regularly. Liam's family came over for dinners. Maya brought her business partners to meet me. Noah, well, he still stayed quiet, but sometimes he helped me work on the car, side by side, like we were a team again. The family I thought I'd lost forever slowly rebuilt itself. And me, I finally realized that life doesn't have to be about chasing speed to feel alive. The car, the races, the thrill, they were tools, not destinations. The thrill is fleeting, the lessons last forever. Sometimes late at night, I sit in the garage, engine off, lights dim, and just breathe. I look at the trophies, the medals, the car, and the photo of Eve. I smile, not for glory, not for money, not for revenge on the past. I smile because I survived, because I learned, because I rebuilt not just a garage or a car or a family, but myself. And that's the real win. Next and final part. That's when I reflect on it all, my regrets, my victories, my lessons, and the message I want to leave for anyone listening. Life is the ultimate race, and sometimes finishing well is the only victory that matters. Here we are, the last part, the final lap of this story. If you've been listening, following me through decades of speed, loss, regret, and redemption, thank you. Sit tight, because this is the part that's been weighing on me the most, the part where I finally put everything down on the table. After the final reckoning, after giving away the $10 million, after reconnecting with my kids, after polishing the garage and tuning the old car, I thought I'd finally found peace. And in a way, I had. But peace doesn't come neatly, like a ribbon tied around a present. Peace comes messy, slow, and uncomfortable. You have to earn it. I've thought a lot about Eve, every day, every night. I've replayed her voice, her laugh, her calm confidence when she read a map or corrected me mid-turn. She taught me more than racing. She taught me life, and I lost her because I didn't respect that lesson the first time. I hit the nozzle, I chased ego, I wanted to win at everything, and I paid for it. But here's the thing about paying, it doesn't just punish you, it teaches you, hard, brutal, and when you survive it, you see the value in the small things. A family that shows up, a car that hums beneath your hands, a garage full of memories, a heart that finally learns to forgive itself. I've also thought about the kids. My kids, Liam, Maya, Noah, they watch me fall apart. They watch me make choices that shattered their mother and our lives, and I don't blame them for the distance. I would have done the same if I were in their shoes, but they came back slowly, cautiously, hesitantly, and I realized something important. Rebuilding relationships doesn't happen in one race or one gesture. It happens in 1,000 tiny steps, 1,000 small choices to show love, patience, and humility. That's what I've spent the last years doing, teaching young racers. Mentoring them, sharing my story not for fame, not for glory, but so they don't make the same mistakes I did. Watching them grow, succeed, sometimes crash, and then get back up. It reminded me that life isn't just about the wins or the losses. It's about how you handle the crashes, the setbacks, the grief. The garage, this car, the trophies, the photos, they're all symbols. Not of my pride, not of my ego, but of survival, of learning. Of the fact that even a man who lost everything can still find a way to honor the past while building a better future. Sometimes, late at night, I still sit in the driver's seat, engine off, helmet on the passenger seat. I run my hands over the wheel, imagining Eve beside me just like old times, and I talk to her. I'm still learning, Eve, still racing, still surviving, still trying to get it right, and somehow it feels like she's listening. The final lesson I want to leave anyone listening is simple. Life is the ultimate race. There are turns you won't see coming, obstacles you can't control, and losses that will crush you. There will be moments when you think it's all over, when the pain feels unbearable, when the guilt and regret weigh more than the engine, the asphalt, or even love itself. But here's the secret. It's not about winning the race. It's about finishing it well. Finishing well doesn't mean crossing the line first. It doesn't mean money, fame, or trophies. It means honoring the people who mattered most. It means making choices that your future self can forgive. It means taking the lessons from your mistakes and using them to rebuild, not just a car, not just a garage, but your heart, your family, your life. I've learned that speed is addictive, yes. Racing is a thrill, yes. But the true adrenaline comes from living, from surviving heartbreak, from earning forgiveness, from building something meaningful after loss. That's the finish line that matters. I'm not young anymore. My hands shake, my back aches, my hair is gray. But when I sit in that car, when I feel the engine purr under my fingers, when I hear the memory of Eve's voice guiding me, I'm alive, fully alive, and I know that I've finally crossed the line the right way. If there's one thing I want anyone out there to remember, it's this. Life will throw corners you can't see, mountains you didn't anticipate, and crashes that feel inevitable. But the race isn't over until you decide it is. And even after the worst crash of your life, even after the deepest loss, even after decades of regret, you can still get back in the driver's seat. You can still steer toward redemption, toward connection, toward meaning. You can still finish well, so that's my story. Jack Holloway, racer, father, husband, loser, survivor, teacher, broken man who learned to rebuild. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there will hear this and take a turn a little slower, respect the road a little more, and cherish the people they have before it's too late. Because in the end, that's the only race worth winning. The garage lights hum. The car sits polished, waiting. I sit in my chair looking at the trophies, the medals, the photo of Eve. And I smile, not because of glory, not because of money. Not because of speed, but because after all these years, I finally feel like I've crossed the finish line, and I did it the right way. The race is over, the story is told, and for the first time in a long time I can breathe.